podcast. So we're going to learn about AI in this course and go through every single algorithm that is used when you're creating an AI tool. So we are not learning how to just use AI tools, but we are learning how to create them so that you understand whenever you come across any AI tool, you understand what's really happening behind it. Okay, so AI is being really growing, especially with the advancement of different technologies that are needed in the industry, in different industry. So AI has become such an important field. So we go from Internet of Things with a good internet, 5G internet, and then we have AI. This is how AI is growing. Okay, so in the eyes of the public, we know more about AI from movies. I don't know if you've watched movies about AI, then everyone will tell you, no, one day AI is going to kill us. These AI tools are going to fight against human. You know, you always hear people talking about that. Why? Because everything you know about AI, you've learned about it in movies. So it's all about what movies are saying. So in movies, we always see these type of AIs that are killing people. You know, those type of robots that are killing people. You know, like this movie Robot, done by Will Smith, where you see robots decided to go against human. You have movies such as The Matrix, you know. So in the eyes of the public, it's all about what they see in movies. But yet, when you look in movies, you can see AI have full control like human being. So in this course, we're going to learn how the type of AI that we have. We have weak AI and strong AI. And so far, we are only on weak AI. The AI that exists nowadays, they do not know they exist. They don't have rational thinking. They can't decide to do anything by their own. So everything that is done today by AI is something that AI has been trained to do. So we're going to learn how to train an AI. And can anybody tell us what do we need? What do we give the AI to train them? How do we train an AI? What do we need to train an AI? Anyone knows?
Algorithm.
Yes. What else?
Code.
Yeah, the codes are the algorithm. Yeah. Sorry.
Data as well.
Perfect. Data. Most important. The wrong data will give the wrong information. So now, this in the eyes of the public, AI is all about what they see in movies. But now, when you look in our daily life, AI is affecting us everywhere. When you downloaded WhatsApp for the first time, you thought WhatsApp was just an application that can help you communicate with people. But then the more you're chatting with people, the more you realize that every time you want to chat, the application is suggesting to you words. Even your phone is suggesting certain words that you usually use. So that is an AI learning from the way you speak, from the way you write your messages. You look at your YouTube, the more you watch videos about certain things, the more the whole algorithm starts suggesting a type of movies. That is what we will call a clustering algorithm that we will learn. How do you do that? You look same thing with your Netflix, right? So when we look in our applications, in our daily life, we are affected by AI in our on our TV, whatever we're looking at, so that's will be classified as our entertainment. You can have a smart home where all the lights, everything is controlled through your voice command. You know, when you can talk about, you can tell the lights to go on or go off, something like that. So AI is used in applications such as security protection. In finance, AI is used. And then that's how AI is really used in our life, okay? Despite the fact that behind every belief that is out there, people just believe in AI based on what they see on social media or what they see on TV, all right? So when we think about, if you want to really understand AI, think of a child. A child that is born today, the baby is considered to be an AI. And if I can ask every one of us in this class, we were once babies. You didn't know how to talk. You didn't know how to eat or how to do anything. So if I can ask, let me see. If I can ask just, okay, anybody in the class, can you tell us, how did you learn how to talk? How did you learn?
By hearing people speak.
Okay, perfect. So we have one answer. Hearing people speak, then you learn how to speak. Anybody else learned a different way?
Reinforcement.
Yes, perfect. So we have reinforcement. So sometimes here's what happened. So for those who don't understand what is reinforcement, okay, think about when you started learning how to speak, you were making mistakes and they were correcting you. You understand? Sometimes they will shout at you, they say, don't say that. So think of a child who's learning how to speak. They will, if they hear, so they are listening to people around them, they are collecting the data and learning from everything. So if a child is growing in an environment where people are swearing, this child is going to be swearing. And now that issue can be fixed by having someone who correct the child and say, you don't say that, you say this, you don't do this, right? So that's exactly what is an AI. So an AI is just any software that is being given the ability to learn from data. We don't just create a software and tell it what to do, but we create a software, we let the software learn from data and determine what it can do, to a point where humans do not even know the process behind AI. So if you go today and find the people, the people behind, the people who created ChatGPT, they do not understand what ChatGPT do. They've created the algorithm to help ChatGPT learn from the data, but they can't tell you what will be the answer if you ask a certain question. They don't know what will be the outcome of that because it's part of the learning process. Okay, so we're going to talk about how you teach an AI, how you help it. So in the eyes of the public, AI is all about what they see in movies. AI is about those robots that can kill us one day, but in the eyes of the researchers. So it looks like AI is something new, which was created recently, because it's only from 2010 that AI became popular. But the whole idea of AI started since the 1950s. So can anybody tell us why the whole idea started in 1950 and we can consider 1956 as the birth year of AI? But it's only from like 2010 that AI started growing and becoming really popular. Can anybody tell us what has changed according to you?
The advantage.
I think it,
Yes.
More data and better compute. Yeah.
Yeah, we now have access to more data because when you think about it, you have 2009 where you have the birth of most of these social media collecting data. But again, this as what has created this availability of data is the advancement of what we call computing power. So we now have, when you look at the phone that you used to use, go back, you will realize that even computers, I remember in 2009, I had a computer and all the memory of that computer was 10 gig, 10 gigabytes, 2009. I had a computer with 10 gig. Nowadays, you can't find a computer with 10 gig. Nowadays, you can't find even a phone with 10 gig. Even 10 gig is really not enough even for a phone. So now you can see you have a phone with 256 gigabytes of memory. So there's now an advancement of hardware, like those small chips that you have in your computers. So they are now advanced. They have a good memory. They have a good performance. You know, you have your CPU. What is CPU? What is CPU? Anybody can tell us what is CPU?
Central Processing Unit.
Perfect. You have your central processing unit of the computer. If you look at computers that we had 20 years ago, you can see that even your CPU was a very low performance CPU. But now we have access to all these advanced devices. So it's easy to create this AI tool. Why? Because when you're creating an AI tool, you need a high level of CPU and a high level of GPU, graphical processing unit. And you need enough memory to really save all your data that you're going to be handling. So this is the reason why from 2010, because of this computing power that has been advanced, it has been easy to create all these AI tools. Okay, for the people who play video game, they will tell you years back they used to say video games were damaging the TV. You know why? Because of the graphical processing unit of the TV was not advanced. So video game was damaging the TV. Okay, so in the eyes of the researchers, AI is from 1950. It started with a question asked by Alan Turing. So Alan Turing started by asking and by proposing. He proposed just a question, just to consider. He asked the scientists to consider one question: can machine think? So we'll hear about what we call the Turing test. So what they do is they will maybe ask a question. A human will they will ask a question to the machine, and then the machine will give the answer to that question, and then they will ask a human, is this answer coming from a machine or from a human? If the human can say no, it's coming from a human, that means the machine was smart enough to convince a human being that the answer is coming from a human being, and then they can conclude and say the machine can think. So this was the Turing test. And then it's only in 1956, during a meeting between scientists, then John McCarthy came with the idea of saying, can we create a branch of computer science which will just be concerned with making computers that can behave like humans? In 1956, we consider this to be the birth of AI. 1956. It's only after that that Mervyn Minsky also came and created the science of making machines do things that will require intelligence if done by men. So after 1956, that was the birth of AI. And how do we get to create all the algorithm for AI? Remember, the whole idea here is to create machine that can think, to create machine that can do what human can do, but with more intelligence. So the only way we can do that is by studying how human being really function. How do human being really function? We function through different type of intelligence. There's multiple intelligence, but we're just gonna look at these 7 intelligence. We look in our society, we always look at only one intelligence. They put everyone in one class from grade 1, everyone is in the same class. Whoever is good in math and physics, they say this student is intelligent. And everybody else who's not good at math and physics, they say they're not intelligent. Do you guys agree with me? Anybody agree with that statement? That in our school system, they will mostly look at people who are strong in mathematics and call them intelligent.
That's true, sir.
Yes. But there is multiple type of intelligence. You have logical intelligence, which you find in people who are good in mathematics. These people are good in numbers. It's a type of intelligence. And then you have linguistic intelligence. When you think of linguistic intelligence, think of motivational speakers, for example. It can be someone who was getting F, who in his career he was just getting F, he was failing math. He was never good at math. But he becomes such a powerful motivational speaker. He can speak in public. There's people who, once they take a mic, they are good in speaking in public. And immediately you can see when this person is successful, you can say, this person is really smart, right? Because you did not see the math marks. You did not see how bad they were in math. But that's also a type of intelligence. It's called a verbal or linguistic intelligence. And then we have a visual or spatial intelligence. So visual and spatial intelligence, you find it with artists, people who create certain art. You look at a certain painting, so this person can imagine something. You look at architects, someone who can imagine a certain building, and they can easily create a drawing of that building. And they can do it, and you find someone who does it better. What makes it different from another person? It's because he has a spatial intelligence. And then you have kinetic intelligence. Okay? It doesn't matter which team you support. Messi is better than Ronaldo. So this is kinetic intelligence. So you find it in people who are doing sport. Right? So from those who watch soccer, they will tell you, you don't understand how a certain player has to pass that ball between many players. You understand? So you find that a player is really smart on the field. But that same player, if you give him, you teach him math, he may not understand. You understand? So for those who knows Messi, for example, he's never good in interviews. He can't talk in public. He's just a quiet person and everything. But when you put him on a field, give him the ball, you will see something else. This is a kinetic intelligence. Okay. And then you have musical intelligence that you find in musicians. You have social intelligence, and then you have intrapersonal intelligence. So you have different type of intelligence. So looking at all these type of intelligence, we can create machine that can focus on one or two of these intelligence. So when you look at something like Siri, anybody can tell us what is Siri? Anybody knows what is Siri? Anyone?
Siri, it's the AI that is found in iPhones.
Perfect.
Or I don't know if they're found in other Apple devices, I'm not sure.
Yes, in every Apple devices. So every Apple devices has an AI called Siri, which can have a conversation with you. All right. So you have, I'm just going to, I want to try on my computer if Siri can still work as we're in a meeting. Hi Siri, what time is it?
It's 6:14 p.m.
Okay. I don't know if you guys, if this also Wednesday, if you guys got the sound for this. Did you guys hear?
Yes, we did, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So I tried on my computer and asked Siri what time was it, and immediately Siri was able to tell me the time. So Siri is just an AI tool from any Apple devices which has a linguistic intelligence. So,
Sir,
yes.
can I ask, is
Yeah.
is AI the hardware, or is it the software, or is it both?
Perfect. We're gonna learn about the 4 elements of AI. So to talk about an AI, we have 4 elements which we're gonna talk about, but I can mention them. So you have your computing power, which has to do with every hardware that was used to create this AI. It's the hardware that were used when they were creating the AI, and it's the hardware that are used when the AI is being used. So, for example, an AI tool that is installed inside a robot that is doing something, you're calling it AI, but there's a software, there is the hardware, there's everything. So you have the hardware part, which we're gonna call computing power, and then you have data. Data are those data, those information that were used to create this AI tool. And then you have your algorithm. So algorithm is the code, type of codes that were used to create the AI. And then the last one will just be a scenario. So what is a scenario? The scenario is the idea behind the AI. So all this will create what we call an AI tool. This is AI. All right. So an AI is formed by 4 elements: the computing power, the data, the algorithm, and the scenario. But now when we talk about, for example, when you will hear a term, someone talking about an AI model. So when they talk about AI model, we'll focus more on the algorithm part. And this is what affects everyone. Because once we see the algorithm, we think this person is intelligent and everything. Just like a human, we will focus on what you're going to do. But we're not going to ask ourselves, where did you get those data? Where did you get those information? How did you learn to do this? You understand? So, and then we have the computing power. As a human, our computing power is our body. So this is our body, the computing power. And then the data is every information that we've used. How did you learn to speak? How come you speak English today? Because you were in an environment where they were speaking English. You had to learn English. That's why you cannot speak Spanish, because you've never been exposed to Spanish. So you've never been exposed to Spanish data. And then the algorithm, obviously, is what you were born with, the ability of getting this data, this information, memorizing them, understanding them, that ability. Okay. So, and then, so what is AI? So AI is just a technical science that studies and develops theories, methods, techniques, and application system for simulating and extending human intelligence. Guys, this is the most important thing. Simulating and extending human intelligence, not for replacing human. AI is not done to replace human. AI is done just to extend human intelligence. So we need to create machines that can do what will require more intelligence from us. So if they give you 50 names of people, you can't remember them. How about we give that task to a machine to remember them? A machine can think faster, machine can work better, machine can do can take a lot of information at the same time. So we look at some many science that got involved just to be able to create all these AI algorithms. So remember I said in 1956, that's where the concept of AI was first proposed by John McCarthy. So you must remember John McCarthy is considered to be the father of AI. Okay, so he only defined the subject as a computer science field to make machine intelligent. Okay, so AI is just concerned with making machine work in an intelligent way, similar to the way that human mind works. Okay, so you need to understand that AI has a lot of, first of all, there is a lot of field that comes to help AI, but there's also a lot of areas of our life as human that comes to create these AI tools. For example, you have psychology, you have linguistic, learning about languages, logic, when it has to do with all the AI that are doing calculations. Obviously, you have computer science because we are dealing with code here. You also have brain science because the way we create AI, we create them to understand data the same way humans understand data in the brain. But we're gonna go deep into this, okay? But there's many studies that are really helping AI. You have, for example, databases. We spoke about this in big data. In big data, we learned about all the databases, example, your HBase, your HDFS. So all that will get involved in giving us the data that will be used to create our AI. All right. So according to this, can anybody tell us, if we look at this, just this sketch, if I can call it this sketch or this picture, according to this, what do you think is the relationship between AI, machine learning, and deep learning?
I think the relationship between AI, machine learning, and deep learning is that deep learning is a part of machine learning, and both of these are a part of artificial intelligence.
Perfect. That's the best explanation. All right. So whenever you hear about deep learning, you must understand deep learning algorithms are also machine learning algorithms. And this are part of AI. Remember I said what? We have 4 elements of AI. Data. When we talk about data, it's not data bundled. It's the data as the information that was used, okay? Data can be pictures, can be words, it can be numbers, whatever we use to create the AI, depending on what type of AI we have. We have the algorithm, which are the code. We have the computing power, which is every hardware that we use. And then we have a scenario, which is the idea that we have. So now, remember we say 1956, the whole idea of creating AI started, but it was just research of different algorithms. It's only 1980 that we now have machine learning algorithm. So with a type of code to make machine think, to make machine perform these tasks that were required by human. And in 2010, now we have deep learning algorithm. Deep learning algorithm are advanced levels of machine learning algorithm that can do bigger tasks, like what we have today. You understand? So it's from 2010. All right. So the relationship between AI, machine learning, and deep learning. Remember, AI is just the whole technical science that is focused on all the research and development of different theories to simulate and extend human intelligence. But now, machine learning is just a core field of AI. So machine learning is part of AI, but this one we just focused on studying how computers can obtain new knowledge or skills by simulating or performing learning behavior of human being. How do human behave? Learn the behavior. We learned it through our environment. We learn. How can you learn? I'm gonna ask a question here. How can someone learn anything new? How do you learn anything new? How do you learn anything new?
Firstly, sir, before you learn something new, you need to know of its existence.
Okay, perfect.
And then do your research about it, find out about it, and then you learn about it.
Perfect. So that's exactly what AI will do. So we're going to give data to the AI. So the AI will get data from whatever source. If it has to get data, to be given data, we do that. If it has to collect data, we do that. And then it's learn, just like human, to learn from those data. And the more it's learning, the more it's going to improve the performance, just like human. The more you learn about something, the more you're becoming better. And then deep learning is just a new field of machine learning. It's the same thing, but it's just advanced algorithm. The reason why we call it deep learning, it's because we will be dealing with what we're going to call neural network. Neural network in machine learning, just like the way our neural network work in our brain, where it can deal with so many data at the same time. So now these deep learning algorithms are really advanced. They can be able to deal with things like images, sounds, text, all these Siri that you see, they are created with deep learning algorithm. All these pictures that we're creating through text, changing your text into a picture, changing a video into text, things like that. So these are deep learning algorithms. Okay, so speaking about that, so now we will have to have what we call schools of thought. School of thought is as human. How do we understand any type of data? So we have different schools of thought, which we're going to talk about tomorrow. We only have 3 schools of thought. We have symbolism, we have connectionism, and then we have behaviorism. So behaviorism, what did I say? If it's a cat, if it looks like a cat, it walks like a cat, what is it? It's a cat, right? Do you know that term? We have connectionism. Connectionism will, this is not really used by human, but it's a very advanced level of dealing with information to try and construct the full information. Think about it like you are doing an investigation and then you get small portion of information and then you create the whole idea. And then we have symbolism. Symbolism is a school of thought. So these 3 schools of thought will help create now type of algorithm. So if I give you an example, if I say, I will just say a word, this is data that everyone in this class is going to get. How do you get this data? You're going to get it through your ears because you're listening to me. So this is the data I'm giving you. So after I've input this in your brain, the word I've input Jacob, right? I've just said Jacob. Every single person in the brain at the moment, this information was processed in different ways. Why it was processed in different ways? Because we all have the algorithm in our mind, which has been trained differently through different information. And we can be able to output, to predict the meaning of Jacob based on every information that has come in our mind. And can I please get some output? Let's see. Anyone? What do you think when I say Jacob? What did you think about?
Jacob Zuma.
Jacob Zuma. Perfect. Anybody else?
In my head, I was just like, who's Jacob?
Perfect. Who's Jacob? Perfect. The question, who's Jacob? Anybody else? Anyone else? Anyone else? When I say Jacob, what did your mind think about?
Coffee.
Coffee. Perfect. Think of coffee. Anyone else? Anybody else? All right, so let's look at this output. 3 people got the same input, Jacob, but they gave us different output. Why? Because they all have different information in the mind. If you are in England today, or you are in the USA, you are in India or in China, there is no way you can think of Jacob Zuma. Why do you think of Jacob Zuma? Because of your environment. You are in South Africa. The information that you've been given, Jacob Zuma, you know someone called Jacob Zuma, but there is millions of Jacob. But you thought of Jacob Zuma. Why? Because of the type of information that you have. This is how this algorithm works. Symbolism. So when we look at life, we look at our brain. This was Jacob. It was just a word, but nobody thought of it as Jacob. Everybody thought of it as a certain symbol. It represents someone or something. Someone thought of coffee. Someone else was still processing who's Jacob. And then someone else said Jacob Zuma. So you already have a picture of what is Jacob, who is Jacob. But nobody said just the alphabet, Jacob. But you already, that means in the human brain, everything that you are given, you have to create a symbol or a picture of it. So that's exactly what we're going to do as well. We're going to create certain algorithm that will work on the full picture, give it a full picture of that data. So this is how symbolism will work. So the way symbolism will work, we're going to have certain algorithm that works with symbolism. It means when you look at something like, I will show you, you look at something like an apple, like this. So something like an apple, this is an apple. So in symbolism, the symbolism algorithm, this algorithm will just look at a picture of something that has the shape. So because it has this shape, so the first thing will be the shape. The second thing maybe will be the size. It may be 10 centimeters in diameter. Maybe the color is red. So the machine will say this is an apple. The machine will predict it as an apple, which is different from connectionism. Connectionism, what it's going to do, connectionism algorithm will take every single part of this picture and see what's the probability of that small part to contribute in building a certain fruit called apple. So, and then connect all those probabilities to finally get the highest probability to see what type of fruit is that. But we're going to talk more about it when we tomorrow as we go through different algorithms. Okay, and then the last, behaviorism, will focus more on how this system is working, how it's behaving in a certain environment. So if you take if you look at an animal, you're trying to see if you have to do with a bird, or you have to do with just some chicken. So you have chicken, you have a chicken, and you have another bird, right? Another bird. I don't know what type of bird I can call this. But if you look at it when it's walking on the floor, you're like, what type of bird is that? But as soon as it's fly, you're not going to say this is a chicken, because you know chicken cannot fly. So because of the behavior, you can predict what is that. Just as a human, by looking at the behavior of something, you can predict the same thing. The computer will do that. So there will be certain algorithms, such as what we call reinforcement learning, which will help create algorithms, create things based on the behavior. So we're going to do something. For example, you want to teach your robot to go to you have, for example, 4 rooms here. You are creating a robot that you want to teach the robot how to go to room 4. So you will let the algorithm play by itself and make the choice. So if it goes to room 1, for example, you create a function to punish it. If it goes to room 2, you create a function to punish it. But if it goes to this room, you create a function to reward it. So a reward and punishment system is what we call reinforcement learning, in order to train our model. But tomorrow we're going to start with different algorithms, and then you're going to understand this concept. But what you need to remember, we have 3 schools of thought which help us create all these algorithms. We have behaviorism, which is based on how the model, when we talk about model, we talk about the algorithm part of the AI, how the model will behave. We have connectionism, which will be based on different parts of whatever data we're trying to deal with. And then we have symbolism, which will just be based on the whole picture of whatever we're doing. Okay, so an example of connectionism can be seen when you have your phone, your facial recognition. When you get your phone for the first time, it's take every single part of your face, all this information. What's the probability of this being you? What is the probability of your eyes being yours? What's the probability of your lips being yours? And then it puts all this probability together and can get a total probability of maybe 80%. And then it can unlock your phone. But if the probability is less than 80, it's not going to unlock your phone. This is why sometimes you take your phone, you're trying to unlock your face. Sometimes it doesn't pick up your face. You have to look properly, and then it's pick up your face, because of those probabilities are not reaching the threshold that were set by the designer of the phone. All right. Any question before we can just call it a day? Any question, guys? Any question? Any confusion so far? Anybody confused or anything like that? Is there anyone confused, or is there any question or any comment? Do you guys think that that we can replace doctors by AI? You know, not really to to do any work in terms of surgeries or something like that. But I'm talking about doctors that we take when you go for consultation. You go and tell them what's wrong with you, and then they tell you what type of medication. Do you guys think AI can replace them easily?
No.
No.
Why not? Why not? How did doctors become doctors? How do they become doctors?
The thing is, okay.
Sorry.
Okay, now you can go for it. How did they become doctor?
Well, the thing is, oh, sorry again. Sorry there. Things can happen case by case because sometimes even if you just Google symptoms, for example, even Google will tell you that you can have cancer with some symptoms, but it's not even that serious. The same way that AI, perhaps there's not enough data or it's not yet intelligent enough to understand the case by case
Perfect.
thing that might be happening with human beings.
Okay. The question is this: how did the doctor learn about anything it tells you?
I mean, doctors learn from university and school.
Yes.
I understand why Sir is asking the question because basically what Sir is trying to say is it's the same information with AI. Since AI basically, like you said from the beginning, AI basically doesn't know anything. Everything that AI knows, some human being in this world knows. So if we could send a doctor to university and feed them certain information, the same way we feed mathematics to ChatGPT, we could feed a certain robot the same information that we fed a doctor and make it sit there and say, okay, if the symptoms are 1, 2, 3, then you probably have this, which, perhaps it might replace those doctors, but I don't think it could replace surgeons.
Yes. What I think personally is that a doctor took, let's say, 7 years learning in university. But what the doctor has learned for 7 years, all those books can be given to an AI tool, which will learn in less than a month and know everything better than the doctor, because the doctor, as a human, he can forget. Now, as the doctor is starts now, now the doctor is working in an hospital, they start realizing something. Certain cases, certain information, they are discovering it as they are working. As they are working the new problem, so they are updating their knowledge. So AI can do the same thing, can update the knowledge and learn from it. The only difference is just that a doctor will have rational thinking. Let's say, for example, there is a woman who's giving birth, but they can only save either the woman or save the child. The doctor, as a human, he can easily get to a point where it takes that decision based on other factors. But the machine will not know. The machine will just choose anyone. You understand? So that's the only difference. But I think that when it comes to things like consultation and everything, and today there's a lot of doctors, they're sitting there on the computer, you are telling about your symptoms. You think the doctor is just writing something on the computer, but they are actually writing what you're telling them and consulting ChatGPT and all the AI tools. Many doctors are already doing that. So, doctors can easily be replaced. There have been a few successful surgery done by robots already. So even surgeon are being replaced.
I think that's a bad idea, though. It's gonna saturate our market.
We don't want to live in a world whereby.
I also wanted to say so.
That's a bad idea. It's gonna saturate our market. which
There's
it
not.
already is saturating our market. It already is.
Okay. Can I ask you a question? When is
Mm-hmm.
when is the last time you went to the post office and sent a letter to someone?
Never.
Never. Perfect. So there used to be someone called the postman. He used to come to your house, take the letter, take it to the post office, send it to another town. So there was people working in that industry. But now we all have access to emails. We have access to SMS, WhatsApp, all these things. So all those people have lost their jobs. We didn't even notice that they lost their jobs. Think of an ATM. People used to go to the bank, stay in the queue, and the bank used to have cashiers like in the shop. But now you go to the bank, there is maybe one cashier only. Everybody else, you go to the ATM. You see, that's the same. That's the same way. Every industry is actually being taken by AI because nowadays, even in computer science, you have a company. You don't need to employ 15 developers anymore. You can employ 3 of them that can use AI, and then they can build the same software. People used to get paid for creating simple websites. Nowadays, there's AI tools where you just talk about your idea, it generates a website for you. So unfortunately, it is already too late. Every industry is being affected by AI. So the people who are going to survive is the people who know how to use the AI tools.
Yeah, well, I
Like,
say what you just said.
So
Each
they used to ask you when you're going to look for a job, they used to ask if you can use Microsoft Word or Excel. Nowadays, they're not going to ask you for that. They will ask you for how many AI tools are you familiar with. Okay. So, yeah, I don't know any other comments, anything, so we can.
so Sam,
Yes.
that whatever you just said, I almost dropped out of uni because of what you just said.
You
So
almost.
I almost dropped out of uni.
No, it's just that you need to be aware. We live in a world where everyone needs to know about AI and be good as many tools as you can in whatever field you are. Make sure you know every single AI in that field and be good at it.
Yo.
Yeah. So this is a very big advantage, knowing about AI. I'll tell you, when you think about it, just go to 2022 before ChatGPT. Um, you used to ask anything, you would just go and Google it, and Google will send you to multiple websites, and you don't even find the information you're looking for. But after 2022, everything that you're looking for, you just ask any AI. It can be ChatGPT, Gemini,
Meta.
yeah, all these deep seek. You ask all these AI tools, they just give you the full answer. You don't need to do more research. You can ask ChatGPT to write for you the research from this field, and then, so everything has changed. Now you still find schools where the teacher is telling you go and write an essay about this and this and that. Students will go and use ChatGPT, and then they're done.
Don't you
Today,
think that is damning human beings?
no, it's you
You
remember
don't have to think that much.
that's
You don't have
good.
to
That
use your
means
brain.
that's good because it means we're gonna be living longer. Humans are not gonna be stressing a lot. I don't remember the last time I wrote an email. Someone sent me an email, I copied the email, put it in an AI tool, and asked the tool to respond for me. I just give it ideas of what I think about the email, and then it writes another email for me. So it helps you in one day. You can do a lot of things because of these tools. The more tools you know how to use, the better your life become. I don't even wish people birthdays, happy birthday anymore. I just tell the AI what's their name and say, write for me an AI and a birthday message. That's how nice it is now. You can write such a long message, and then someone is really happy for the words you use. But it was done by AI.
Nah, say you're too dependent on AI. That's no.
And that helps a lot, because you can actually nowadays you can actually ask an AI. You can let's say you're starting exam, like you guys are writing exam. You can actually tell how many chapters and every information about that subject. You tell the AI and say, I have 3 days to study. Tell me a good plan. How do I get this work done in 3 days? And it gives you an advice. Isn't that a good thing? That's how you can study nowadays. Everything can be done using AI. So it's a very good thing. It's a very good thing. The only issues, but we're going to talk more about it in this course. The only issues that AI will bring us will be more about segregation and more about some discriminations, because it's going to be very easy for someone to create an AI that detects people, races based on their names. And then if that AI tool is used by the bank, it's going to determine what credit, what access to a loan you can have as a person from a certain race. Those are the issues that we're going to have, because we don't know who's creating what tool, who's creating what. We have other issues such as deepfake, with algorithm that can create a picture of you in a certain location, even if you are not there. So now they are being used. We're seeing politicians, pictures of politicians being used, videos, and they will say, we think it's real. It's a false information, but it was done by AI. You can hear a full speech. You hear the voice. This is a certain politician, but it wasn't them. It was done by AI. Now, even if a politician says something, he can say, that wasn't me, that was AI. How do you prove it? You see, those are the issues that unfortunately are going to affect us, because the judges in court are still not understanding AI, but they will still use a picture of you in a certain place to accuse you of a certain crime, even if you were not there. Those are the issues that we have. All right, guys, I think our time is up for today. For those who can, if you can just turn on your camera so we can take an attendance screenshots, and then we can call it a day, and I will see you tomorrow. Anyone who want to join?
Sir, I can't turn on my camera. What's happening? Hey, Sam. Oh.
Sorry, sir.
Yes.
Can I remind you to please upload the summary for big data that you said you are going to upload yesterday?
Yes. I'm still making the summary. As I said before, I will do that before Friday, because I'm still I'm still making the summary. So making it, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
All right, and guys, please remember to register for AI class so I can also approve that, and you can have access to the materials.
Sir,
Yes.
I just had a question. Big
Okay.
data, AI, and cloud computing, they all connected. It's like
Uh,
one.
it's we're gonna use them together for the competition, but you need to understand. You don't need to. You have to write all the 3 exams, but questions in AI are only related to AI. Question in big data only related to big data, and question in cloud computing only related to cloud computing.
So we'll have exams before we actually enter for the competition.
Yeah, but we're gonna start again talking about the competition and preparing for it before we can even finish everything as we're moving
okay.
along, especially
So,
after AI. Yes,
so do we
I can hear you.
do we have to apply for the exam voucher for big data? Can we start applying for them, or we don't have to?
No, you don't have to
Oh,
for
okay.
now. Yeah,
Okay.
but we're just gonna set a date. I need to email them and just set the date, and then we take it from there.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, guys. I will see you tomorrow.
Thank you. Bye.